Hello everybody, my name is John Wright. I'm the Director of Public Relations for Hardin County Schools. We'd like to welcome you to our question and answer session regarding the AB schedule that we discussed and we released information about on Friday afternoon. And so we have some folks here who are able to answer your questions. You have hopefully gone online and to our website, and there was a form there that you could have clicked to answer questions. And so we've got several of those here tonight. I'm sure we're not going to, or this afternoon, I'm sure we're not probably going to hit on every thing that you have floating across your mind as you are like us. You know that this is certainly a different situation and some unique times. And so we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. There's not really a time limit. We're going to try to stay under an hour, but just because we know that that is what you want to do, or some of you are probably spending your lunch hour with us. And just know that if you have to jump off here today, if you're watching us live and you have to jump off, you can watch this later at this same link. You can go back and do that. Also, we want to remind you that if your child is in the Online Learning Academy, there will be an orientation for that this evening at 6 o'clock on this, not on this link, but it will also be on YouTube. There's a link to that on our HCS website. That's hardin.kyschools.us. And so we're going to go through and answer some questions. With us today is Greg Sutton. He's our Chief Academic Officer for the district. Mrs. Terry Morgan is our Superintendent. Mr. John Stith is our Chief Operations Officer. And, of course, Ms. Janae Sutton is our Director of Health Services. So we're going to go through some questions here that you have asked and try to get as much information out about the AB schedule as possible. And so, Greg, I guess the first one's for you. That's why you're in the hot seat here. So how are my children going from the AB schedule? How are they going to get as much instruction? Are they going to be able to keep pace with the students who are doing the online academy? They'll be doing that 5 days a week, and my child will be doing face-to-face instruction 2 days a week. How will they be able to keep up?
Well, first of all, John, we do know that in-person instruction is the most effective way to impact student learning and achievement. So being able to get kids back in school even a couple days a week is going to have a huge impact on what we're doing here to start out the school year. Regarding the amount of time, it's going to be very commensurate in a way from a standpoint of the online academy will be getting daily instruction from a teacher in small chunks, sometimes 8 to 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of direct instruction depending on the age of the child. But you have to realize in an AB schedule of in-person instruction, the teacher's going to have half the amount of students in their classroom. Instead of having 24 kids in their class, they're going to be doing 12. So we're going to be doing double the amount of work, double the amount of feedback.
They can move a little quicker.
They'll be able to move a little quicker and be able to really, I think, individualize the instruction. So when they do go home with that off day, it's not an off day. It's going to be a day to actually practice those skills, enhance those skills, complete independent projects, and really it's going to be very, very commensurate, if not more efficient.
Okay, we'll talk about smaller groups here in just a second. But Ms. Morgan, how long are we looking at doing this? Go ahead, or you can add to that as well.
Actually, Mr. Sutton, if you don't mind touching upon the pacing guides that we will be using on the AB schedule as well as the Online Learning Academy.
Right, with our curriculum maps that have been updated with new math and reading standards, they're going to be expected to follow the same curriculum map, the same pacing guide, and we're going to make sure we cover the entire content, all the content standards, whether you're in the online academy or whether you're receiving in-person instruction. So the pace is going to be the same regardless of the program that you're in.
And you can find those pacing guides that Mrs. Morgan and Mr. Sutton were talking about on our website as well. They're in that bar that runs across the top third of the page there. So Ms. Morgan, the question, how long will this last? We really don't know. If you pull out your crystal ball and answer that question.
I wish I could, John. The thing families need to know is this is a soft start. Janae and I talked about this earlier. We are slowly approaching the in-person instruction so that we can give the parents what they've been asking for, and I believe in most households what the kids are wanting as well. And so when we can do so and move forward, we will do that along with the guidance from the Lincoln Trail Health Department. We will look to them. And again, we're looking for very minimal cases. But right now, this cuts the size of the classes in half, which gives us that social distancing that we want for our students and for our staff.
Wonderful. Good deal. So, Greg, I know my children are going to be on the Tuesday, Friday schedule. So we're going to assume that Monday, August 24, is just a a day of, I guess, another day of rest for them, because they will be starting school on Tuesday, August the 25th, if you're in that B group. But also, so we get further into the year, what am I going to be doing on my quote-unquote off day, or maybe day that, I guess I should say day that I'm not in class? And then also, if I don't have a Chromebook, how's that going to work?
Well, very specific on the AB schedule. You know, whenever you go to a day of in-person instruction, the teacher is going to be very specific as far as the guidance that they're going to leave you with that day for you to do on your days where you're at home working independently. When you look at anatomy of a lesson, you know, direct instruction is a critical part of that. But independent student practice and working on those skills and working on those supplementary programs that we offer for every kid, like reflex math, compass path blazer that we use that connect to our MAP scores. Those are when they enhance the skills from those days of in-person instruction. Now, if you need a Chromebook to do that, you just need to reach out to your homeschool, and they're going to work out a rotation schedule for you to check those out and be able to complete those assignments at home if they're digital in nature.
Awesome. Yeah. Good deal.
Right. Mr. Wright, if you don't mind, one thing I would like to really share with parents is if your child has their own personal laptop, we encourage them to bring those to school, and that way it is their Chromebook. They will keep it the entire time. They will take it home to be able to do some of these assignments when they're at home. So I know some parents are like, is it legal or illegal for my child to bring their own Chromebook? We do ask, of course, that they put their name and signage on it so that everybody knows that it's their personal device, but those are permitted and encouraged on school site.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Morgan. Mrs. Sutton, say there is a case of COVID-19 in my child's classroom, or if there are outbreaks, heavier outbreaks. What's our response? How do we handle that?
We've been working very closely, John, with the Lincoln Trail District Health Department to work out a process. Currently, right now, if a parent were to pick up the phone and call, they've taken their child to a healthcare provider, and they know that their child has a positive COVID test. That healthcare provider is mandated by law to turn over those positive test results and so forth to the health department. However, we know as a community that the timing of that might not be as quickly as it needs to be. Therefore, we're going to be working with the health department, completing a form that they created for us, whether it's a staff member or a student that's received that positive result. We'll send in with that form. We'll send in classroom seating charts, bus seating charts, and so forth, just to assist them. They drive the wheel. They have the hands on the wheel and are still driving the car for this, because it is a public health situation. Just like whooping cough, pertussis has been in the past. Our Lincoln Trail District Health Department is extremely professional. They're no strangers to having to do contact tracing and so forth. We've worked with them very closely. It just so happens that here in 2020 with COVID-19 situation, we're dealing with something on a much larger magnitude. So when that positive case does come in, the health department will determine if there is any type of contact that needs direct contact that needs to be identified. The health department will individually call those homes. It will not be a situation where they will call back to the school and the school will send out blanket one calls if we have a staff member that is positive, or if we have a student that's positive, unless that's what their contact tracing requires for us to do. We are looking very much on our community to understand at a leveled approach. Just because one single individual has a temperature, the 100.4, just because a positive COVID has come back, we do not necessarily close down a school or a classroom and so forth. We will look at the individuals that might need to quarantine. Then the next level might be a classroom or might be a small reading group. It might just simply be that your child was in a small group reading setting and needs to be placed into quarantine according to the days at the health department. Then classroom, potentially school and district, but they will give us that direction at all times and so forth. The 100.4, that's the other piece that I really want to reiterate to parents. That is a CDC guideline, and that has been in our handbooks for years. It did change 2 years ago from 100.2 to 100.4. But that is a temperature gauge that is indicative of some of your child possibly having a contagious disease, and they have always had to go home. And so that's what we'll do. We'll call parents if anything like that, if they're having vomiting issues, any other GI issues, and so forth.
Okay, I do believe we're maybe having some audio issues.
It's a speed issue.
Okay, so
They can watch it right after.
okay, yeah. So if this will be available for viewing again right after we get done, and those issues should be taken care of. So if you can hear us there, so those issues will be taken care of, and so you may be able to watch it later in full entirety there. So Ms. Morgan, I know that let's see. Let me get back to where we talked to Greg about what students will be doing when they're not in school. And Ms. Morgan, we've talked about the possibility maybe of some child care. We talked about that in the news release we sent out on Friday.
Yes, I know. We received a lot of interest in our child care. So Ms. Sutton and Ms. Wood and myself have been working on child care. We are currently looking at how many classrooms we have available throughout the district. Since we do have some teachers doing the OLA training, there are rooms we can use. So if you would please stay posted, and we will send a link if you are interested in the child care. I will tell you it will be on a first come, first served basis based on the number of spots we have. It will take some flexibility. We will have multiple locations, but how many students can go to a certain location depends on the number of rooms that we have. So we are working on that. We realize it's a need. I do want to reach out also to our community members. I will work with Mr. Wright. If you are providing child care, we need you to let us know that if that is an option. We cannot verify the quality of the child care, but we will give you a list and their location. And so any community folks who are providing child care, please let us know, and we will post that on our website. And again, it's your responsibility to check it out and make sure it's where you want your children to be if you do need child care.
Mr. Sutton, say I have a child who may go to one school, or I have some multiple children in my home, and they may have different last names. In other words, their last name might dictate that they would go to the A group, but the other children in my home are going to the B group. Schools are going to work with those parents, aren't they?
Yeah, just reach out to the school, let them know your concern on that. You want them on the same rotation, and they'll work with you on that.
And there also may be a time where maybe you don't want your second grader at home with your sixth grader because of they may like to mucky around the house or whatever, and maybe you don't want them together at the same time. So we can go the other way as well on that, right?
Right.
Okay.
I think the main thing there, John, is communicate with your school for that need in a timely manner, because we are trying to do bus routes right now, and those continue to change. So we just need that communicated as soon as possible.
Here's and then talk about school-age child care. We got that question a lot. Will school-age child care still be available in the hybrid plan?
Yes.
Yes.
School-age childcare will still be available. We're working on securing personnel and so forth, but that is part of the AB plan. Yes, sir.
Right. So nothing changes there. So I guess, Greg, this one's for you. Can homework be done at night on the days they don't attend? In other words, do I have to do my homework during the day when my parent may or may not be home?
Right, that's perfectly fine. With the AB schedule we have right now, there's not an expectation early on in the school year that they have to be online with a teacher on that independent work day. So if they do need to wait till at night to get home to get help from their parent, that's perfectly fine. And also, a teacher does have a planning period throughout the day. So on that day that they're sitting at home, if they have a question, they can reach out to their teacher during their office hours, which would be their planning time.
A big question that we're getting it from both sides here is the online academy full, and if I want to switch to that, and also since we've gone to the AB schedule, can I switch from online academy to in-person instruction?
Yeah, I received at least probably 2 phone calls last week that said, hey, if you guys go to an AB schedule, we want to come back to in-person. And the answer to that is yes. We would love to have you come back to in-person instruction. We know that's the most effective way to teach students. And now that we're getting 2 full days a week with half the class sizes, if it's my child, I'm definitely going in person. Mm-hmm. To be in front of a teacher in person is a good opportunity. If you're not medically fragile in any way, we would love to have you back. In the same way with the online academy, if you do have a medical concern that you need the online academy, we're still going to allow you to be in.
Okay, so
at this point,
right? So we can't do that.
Yes.
But Mrs. Morgan, you shared with the principals last week that I need to call my child's school, and my principal or administrator will call me back and talk about our situation.
Right, and we had some families last week to call, and we took their name and phone numbers and the grade level of their child so that school principals would be able to make that personal contact with those families today or tomorrow. If you did not make that phone call, then please do contact your school. If the school does not answer, we know there's a lot of professional development training for teachers today and tomorrow. They can always call the central office, and we will take their name and phone number and make sure that message gets to the home school.
Mr. Sutton, Wednesdays are enrichment days. That's what we're calling up Wednesday. So what determines if my child needs that enrichment?
Each school is coming up with their own individual plan for ways for teachers to work with administration on sign-up opportunities for those kids that need to come to school, whether it's for enrichment, intervention, redo assessments, tutoring, small group instruction. They're going to be very specific as to why they need those kids, and they have a plan for getting that to transportation as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
So transportation knows who to pick up for those Wednesday opportunities. And I think this is going to be a big opportunity for our students. And I've talked to a few schools that have had specific plans, and I'm excited to see what we can do with that day.
Okay.
Right.
Good
I
deal.
think Mr. Robbins at EC3, there may be some students out there who need extra time practice in automotive or welding, and this will
Absolutely.
allow that to happen. So again, transportation will be provided to those parents, and we hope to tell them on Monday if their child will be there on Wednesday. So if by chance maybe a student missed an assignment or wasn't able to complete the assignment successfully, this would be a day they could do that. But also, for the enhancement purposes, GT services would be available as well.
Online Academy students, they are in class, quote unquote, in their online class 5 days a week. Is true statement?
Correct?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good deal.
But it's not that we're for speech, GT service. It's not like we can't bring in some of those online GT students and in-person GT students and do some virtual learning on those Wednesdays with everybody combined. So
Okay.
And parents also can reach out and say, my child is struggling with the concept. Let them know on a Monday, can they come on Wednesday and get additional help? And the answer to that's going to be yes.
So the question, will teachers be available to help with assignments and projects on off days? In other words, if I'm a Tuesday, Friday student, will somebody be able to help me on a Monday when I'm not in class?
Teachers will be available during their planning period and during additional office hours that they set for themselves in the afternoon. But they will be providing instruction on those days to the other half of the kids. So really during most of the day they won't be available, but during their planning period they will.
And on Wednesdays?
And on Wednesdays,
Okay,
that's correct.
good deal.
Yes.
Special needs, IEPs, how does AB affect IEPs?
Nothing at all. I mean, kids are still going to get their IEP implemented for speech, for their collaboration classes, for the resource classes. All their minutes will be met just as it would in a normal 5-day schedule.
Mr. Stith or Mrs. Sutton, this may be for you and Mrs. Morgan as well, but lunch, how does this new initiative change breakfast and lunch procedures, if at all? It probably doesn't for in-person instruction. It doesn't change those procedures that we have in our reopening plan. But also talk about how students will, the online academy students will get their lunch.
Sure. It really doesn't change our lunch program a great deal in that students will receive breakfast and lunch every day. And they'll have an opportunity if they're in school to obviously have breakfast and lunch there. They'll also have opportunities to take lunches and breakfast home with them for days they're not going to be there. If they're on the online academy, then each school will be setting up a time, much like we do our summer feeding program. I know, John, you're familiar with that, but yes. There'll be a time for them to come in either before lunch starts or after lunch is over to pick up their meals. And they don't have to come every day. We know it's an inconvenience for some parents, so they can pick up meals for the whole week and then come back the following week and get the next week's worth of meals as well.
Right, and that information is in our reopening plan. That is on our website.
I think it is important, John, if I'm not mistaken, if you are currently on free lunch, your meals will continue to be free. If you pay the reduced cost, the meals will be reduced cost, and if they're full price, they will continue to be full price, correct?
Correct. There is an online free reduced lunch form that parents do need to go in and get filled out here within the first 30 days. That would be great. There's probably also going to be a green CEP form. A lot of our schools are CEP, which is a federal program, and everybody in that school gets a free lunch, but we still need that green form filled out because we get additional funding from the state and federal government based on that form. So it's important to get those forms filled out, but absolutely right. We'll keep moving on.
Breakfast is still free for everybody, but do want you to know about the lunch. Don't want any surprises.
And now's a good time, while we're talking about filling out forms, now's a good time to talk about online online information updates. That portal closes on the 18th, which is tomorrow. So we need to get that done.
We may need to extend that some. We set that date when we were anticipating a start date of August 6th maybe. But parents on the parent portal, and if you don't know how to get into the parent portal, we have a video for you on the Hardin County Schools website. But please, we do need that information. It is extremely important. It has updated emergency contacts. It has email addresses. So please go in. I think we're running about 35 to 40% complete. We need another 60% to go in and update, even if there's no changes to your child's address or phone numbers. We just need you to verify that for our schools.
How will attendance policies regarding parent notes or doctor's notes be affected by potential absences due to COVID-related symptoms? Really no change there, right, Mrs. Sutton? Or
there is no change.
Right.
When a child, if they do have symptoms that are indicative that they are sick, whether it's GI issues, temperature, severe coughing and so forth, a parent can pick them up. Looking at attendance policies and so forth with parent notes and doctor's notes, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and so our schools are very aware of that, and so are our attendance clerks. So we'll just work together with our families.
All right, okay. We talked about breakfast and lunch. Maximum class size for the AB schedule. Is there a maximum number of students that can be in a classroom, Mr. Sutton?
No, well, we're basically just cutting the classes in half what they normally would be, and that's going to create opportunities for social distancing, and our numbers are staying pretty steady on that, so I feel pretty comfortable with what you're going to see.
Okay. Mrs. Sutton, I guess this goes back to you. If a child starts to show symptoms during school, during the school day, what are we going to do with that child? I guess the same as we would any other sick child, correct?
Yes. We're going to follow the Healthy at Schools guidance document. That child will be placed in an area with a supervised adult. They'll be wearing their mask. Parents will be called. We will have our Healthy Kids clinics through Cumberland Family Medical there. That nurse will make a contact or a school staff member to share, depending on the nurses, the traffic coming in and out of that school clinic on that given day, and offer certain things to them. But if there is a fever, the child will need to go home, and that parent will make a determination as to next steps, visiting a healthcare provider and so forth. COVID testing will be available at each of our schools if a parent should want that. We are hearing now from Cumberland Family Medical that is a 24 to 48 hour turnaround. They are working on securing machines that they have ordered that would allow the rapid testing. No child will be tested unless a parent gives permission. And so forth. And just like all other healthcare providers, if a positive result happens, it is mandated by law that is then reported over to the health department.
I probably shouldn't be spreading rumors. We heard a vicious rumor coming to our office this morning about calling some other agency or anything if somebody either test positive or have symptoms like that. We're not doing that. All we're doing is we're making a parent phone call just like we would any other time.
Yes,
right?
We're calling there, and we must report it to the health department. That's any doctor's office, Zip Clinic, Kroger Clinic, anywhere else that you're getting the COVID test done. It is required by law. It falls underneath contagious disease, and it is a reportable contagious disease, just like pertussis and some other that fall under that category, and must be reported to our health department. And so forth. That way, if any individuals need to be placed because of a positive into isolation, or if you're deemed as a contact and you need to be placed into quarantine, our local health department, public health authority can follow that.
Awesome. Good deal.
The other part of that, John, when they are sent to the office or to the nurse, we will contact the parents, and some parents may feel more comfortable going to their child's medical provider that they see, and we highly recommend that so that they are having that consistent care. I know our pediatric doctor for my children, we have been going to her, and we will continue to do that, but parents will be contacted. And then the paperwork, Janae, is that online this year, or is that something parents need to fill out for them to be able to see the
Absolutely. In your first day paperwork, just as Mr. Stith was talking about the green CEP forms and the free and reduced lunch forms, the first day of paperwork will include from Cumberland Healthy Kids Clinic. It'll be permission to see the school nurse. You can go ahead and give permission for your child to see the nurse practitioner. But once again, we always call parents, even though you give that signature, just to let you know that there are symptoms going on that might deem a healthcare nurse practitioner. And therefore, you can, once again, give your verbal permission for that child to be seen. Additionally, there are forms for a flu vaccine, if you want to go ahead and sign that. And then please understand, underneath our Hardin County School website, Mr. Wright is fixed for me, underneath my department, which is Health and Family Services. Some of you, with this timing of us going back to school and being in person, you are realizing that your child might have some type of special emergency medication, whether it's EpiPen, Diastat, glucagon, and you know every year you get that signature by your medical health care provider. Please go online. You can call our central office, or you can just go onto the Hardin County School website and pull that form down. As our school nurses are slowly moving back into our school system during this week and getting things prepped, you might get a phone call from your school's nurse and so forth, indicating last year your child had a daily med, or they did have an EpiPen, because we know those are paperwork that has to have a signature each year by your child's doctor. But any of that can be accessed right now on the Hardin County website. Once again, go under Departments, Health and Family Services, and look there on the right-hand side, or feel free to call our offices, 769-8800, and we can guide and direct you in that. But it will also be in hard copy form at your child's school once we begin.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Sutton.
John,
Yes,
if I
sir.
could go off script just for a second.
Yes, sir.
I know some questions I've gotten from folks. I've got 3 children in the district, and if my child is in a room with another child who tests positive, unless my child has been exposed to that child or been around that child for a long time, whatever the health department says, I'm not going to be notified about somebody in my classroom necessarily being, my child's classroom being test positive for COVID. Is that accurate?
Very accurate. We will be following those guidelines that are given us by the Lincoln Trail Health Department on their contact tracing. If they deem that it is necessary, that students within an entire classroom, it will be their call and we will follow their direction. But as you stated, you have to think about a classroom and a classroom setup. One, this AB schedule really is helpful to get that 6-foot social distancing. In order to be considered a contact, you must be within 6 feet for 10 minutes or more with another individual within a positive case. And if you think in a classroom, there's only going to be 2 to 3 children that your child is going to be that close to at any given time. And the key times, I believe there was a question asked about lunchtime. And we do have to remove our mask, obviously, to eat and so forth. And our schools have worked very tirelessly to make sure that there is that 6-foot distancing during that eating time. We're going to follow the Healthy at School guidelines that's been given by our Kentucky, the Kentucky State folks, that we need to be 6 foot in the classroom. Mask may be pulled down if no one is moving in the classroom and we are a full definite 6 feet apart. But at any given time, children can leave their mask up the entire time. There's mask breaks going to be given, going outside and so forth. We're in a different schedule and a different atmosphere, and we're used to hearing recess and wellness and things like that. We'll be deliberately giving time for mask breaks. We'll be deliberately giving times for additional hand washing and additional hand sanitizing. Those are just things that are going to be added to our schedule this year.
Absolutely. Buses, Mr. Stith, that falls under your bailiwick.
Sure.
The specific question is, when will the bus information come out? I believe we talked to Mr. Corder, and that may be tomorrow, hopefully.
And again, I would just ask parents for some patience
Yes.
with us this first week, and then obviously next week. As any school year starts, it takes us a little while to get all the times worked out exactly, but at some of our discussion earlier, we still have some parents that are having to make some adjustments to their kids' schedule, and obviously affects busing, but we hope to have something out by the end of the week. And
Right.
there's an online bus
Bus routing
stop
information.
routing
Right.
check, and I would just encourage parents to keep checking that. And if they haven't gotten anything by the end of this week, Thursday, Friday, please give us a call at the bus garage, 769-8890, and we'll be happy to answer any questions they have.
Right. And Mr. Corder said that hopefully we'll get up tomorrow. And then he also said, he encouraged me to encourage parents that We normally ask for a 5-minute window at the bus stop. So in other words, if it says the bus is going to be there at 6:45, give 5 minutes on either way. Well, we may ask for 10 minutes this year just because of the situation. So.
And patience, and it's hard for all of us, me especially, but especially those first couple of weeks, we'll get it down. We're kind of creatures of habit, and it'll take us a couple of weeks, but we'll narrow that window down. But as John said, that first couple of weeks, we could use some patience. I would also ask, while we've got an audience, just to remind folks to please check your child's temperature before
Absolutely.
they
Thank
come to school, whether they're riding in a car or they're going to be on a bus. We'd ask that you do that. Obviously, if they're running a temperature, just go ahead and keep them home, because what will end up happening is when they get to school, their temperature is going to be taken, and then they'll be removed to another room, and so you're going to get a phone call and have to come back to school. So just to save everybody a lot of trouble, if your child has a fever, it'd just be best for them to stay home that day. We're also asking that all children wear masks. And so we would ask that those are two big things, you add to the cinnamon rolls or the Pop-Tart, whatever you're getting on your way out to get on the bus, but have that mask and check that temperature. We would appreciate it.
Good deal.
John, one of the things I want to make sure parents know, we are going to release 1 hour early, both Monday and Tuesday, for the elementary schools, with the exception of Lakewood. And those of you who have kids in elementary realize we do this every year. Well, this year with the AB schedule, it will be an hour early release on Monday and an hour early release on Tuesday, with the exception of Lakewood, because they ride with the middle school students. Also, of course, reading the CDC guidelines, they are now have the research, because of the many cases in other countries, that the first sign that most people experience with COVID is that temperature. So we will be taking temperatures when students come in the building. If it is a parent drop-off, parents know that your child is going to have their temperature taken before they get out of your car, because we don't want you to leave and then have to come right back. So that will happen. And then some of our students at North Park, and it is only kindergarten and preschoolers, they have monitors, and they will be checking the temperatures again before the parents walk away, so that we don't have to make that phone call. So I want parents to realize the other conditions to look for. As Ms. Sutton, a lot of fatigue, unusual fatigue. We know on the first day, kids have not gotten up early in the morning for a long time, so because they go home and sleep does not mean that they have COVID. But again, the temperature, the fatigue, extreme fatigue, a lot of cough, hard time breathing, those are things the parents need to look for, and keep them home if they are experiencing any of those symptoms.
And don't, if they've got 100.7 temperature before they get up for school, don't throw Tylenol or Motrin down on them and send them to school. I'll admit I may have done that a time or two, but don't do it now. Please don't do that now.
Yes.
So, all right, good deal. So I'm sorry out there for doing confession on myself. So, Mr. Sutton, we've talked a lot about if we go on NTI, should, and we're not as of right now. But should we go on NTI? Talk about the differences between Online Learning Academy and the non-traditional instruction.
Well, with non-traditional, that means we're sending, obviously, all the students home, okay? And really, once you do that, once again, we have a very commensurate process for Online Academy and non-traditional instruction. It's going to go to more of a digital platform. Once again, if we go NTI with the students that we send home, they'll be doing their class periods each day with direct instruction through digital platform. We're going to have that digital platform placed on our website just like we did last year and ready to go or if that does happen. Now, we're hoping that does not happen. We hope we have tremendous success with our in-person instruction and everything stays good, but very commensurate with Online Academy.
All right, good deal. Can I request that my child go to the enrichment days on Wednesday if I'm a parent?
If your child is struggling with a concept and you don't have the ability to help your child on that concept on the days where they're doing independent practice, absolutely reach out to your school, reach out to your teacher, let them know you need them to come in on Wednesday to get that additional help, and we would love to service your children.
Will transportation be provided on Wednesdays for enrichment days?
Yes.
That's why parents need to let them know ahead of time. Calling on a Tuesday afternoon is not the best time to do that. If they know the week before or that Monday their child is struggling with a concept, please contact the school immediately.
And that will happen at the same time on the same schedule as as the days they go to school.
That's correct.
Yes.
So, excuse me here as I read through these. Are the assignments going to be required? In other words, are there going to be hard deadlines for my assignments, either for OLA or for face-to-face instruction?
Very specific this year. You know, I know last year we were very lenient during the NTI period of not knowing when things are going to be turned in, but this is very specific. When you are given an assignment, it's due on Tuesday, it's due on Tuesday. And there's no questions asked about that. If it's on Wednesday, it's on Wednesday. There's going to be varying types of, I hate to even use the word, packets or anything, but there'll be times when you have consumable materials that go home with you, a workbook. There'll be times when you have a digital platform, supplementary program you're doing, maybe a worksheet you have to complete that complements something you did in class that day, but no packets. We're not really focusing on packet work, but there are different types of lessons kids will be doing.
Mr. Stith, a parent wants to know, is there any way that I could find out how many children will be on my child's bus?
Well, certainly not the first day.
Right.
But you can ask your child that second day, how many kids are getting on your bus, or how many are on when you get on, and they can certainly share that with them.
Or maybe ask the driver after several days.
Sure, sure. And I would expect, whatever they're used to last year, it's certainly going to be a lot less. And just remind our community members, we still have to drive all the roads, most likely pretty much every day, because we're probably not going to be fortunate enough for all the A's to live in one subdivision and all the Z's to live in one subdivision. There are probably some efficiencies that we're going to look to make to save kids travel time on the bus and to save some gas mileage. But I would just encourage parents to talk to their child, and if they do feel like that's something that they're uncomfortable with, they can always bring their child in the morning and the afternoon. I will say, much like our schools, our buses are going to be disinfected and sanitized every day, during the day, after school. So our buses should be just as clean as our classroom.
Well, let's talk about that while we're on that subject of the cleaning regimen. The question has been asked, why not go to school on Monday, Tuesday, and then have Wednesday as the enrichment day and a /cleaning day, and then a group B come in on Thursday, Friday. So I guess whoever can answer that question about why Monday, Thursday, but talk about the cleaning regimens, whoever, and then what we'll do in the classrooms just to make sure that we're cutting down on the spread of this disease.
Well, I'll interject some things here. First off, the schedule is a Monday, Thursday, a Tuesday, Friday, for the purpose of a student not going 5 days without seeing that adult. We want that adult interaction, and we want them to have a day of education, do the activities, independent work, group activities, and then be able to come back in and have that follow-up instruction with that teacher. The other thing you need to know is masks are required on the bus. So when your child comes out, please have that mask in place, not trying to get it on as they walk up the steps. And each child will be asked to use hand sanitizer, rub that in as they get on the bus each and every morning. John, other items?
Yeah, and you had kind of mentioned the term about a cleaning day. In this environment, we don't have a cleaning day because every day is a cleaning day.
That's right.
And our schools are very clean before. Are we going some extraordinary efforts now during COVID, similar to what we did back this spring? Absolutely. Every teacher will have access to 2 types of cleaners. One is a deep cleaner that if they're on planning, they'll spray down their desks, desktops, chairs, and let it sit for over 20 minutes. If it's between class changes, they have a different type of chemical they'll use that kids can get on immediately. We'll be doing those same type of things in the class, in the cafeteria, any common spaces. And then at the end of the day, we'll do our normal cleaning procedure like we always do with our floors, common touch surfaces like door handles, handrails, things of that nature will all be cleaned. They'll also be cleaned during the day.
Yeah,
so I think you'll find that overall we have a very comprehensive cleaning regime that we will be instituting. Other things, some things we're adding on as technology is getting available. I know maintenance is looking at getting something called a mister. For older folks, it looks like a fog machine, but you go in and fog the entire room, and it really disinfects well. So I feel pretty comfortable. We're also adding walk-off mats. So when a child comes in the morning, they'll be walking across a mat that has a disinfectant sponge-like material, and so it'll disinfect their shoes as they go in. So we're really looking to be, as germ-free as possible, and we'll continue. We get hit up, probably 5-6 times a day by different sales reps, and when we see good things at a good price, we'll probably keep adding some things. So feel pretty good about how clean our buildings will be for.
And Joe Stucker and his crew at Buildings and Grounds have done an absolutely remarkable job.
They've done a fantastic job. Some people ask about training for custodians. We have one coming up this Wednesday just to kind of freshen up and go over things. But our custodians get training every year. They're very familiar. We deal with the flu and other types of communicable diseases. So this is not really anything that's new to us. It's new in the fact that it's in a pandemic form, but a lot of these things are things we've been doing for years anyway.
Okay. All right. How are you going to make sure that there's social distancing between classes and on lunch breaks? That's why those adults are there.
Well, I think thanks to Ms. Martin here at our Resource Center, all of our schools have the distancing little stamps on the floor. Many of our schools have arrows of which way students need to travel. When they go to the cafeteria, they're going to see 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot. I think it's also important to remember what Ms. Sutton mentioned earlier. There are going to be times that students pass one another, but students will have on a mask. And one of the questions the health department asked is, were these students together for a 10-minute interval? So there will be times that they pass each other in the hallways, and we know that the level of concern we need to have is when they have that extended period of time together. So as you go into the building this week, we already have people checking our buildings out, going in as a set of new eyes to check all the signage, to make sure we have the hand sanitizer in each of our classrooms, to make sure there's stations out in the hallways, and that we have warm soap or soap and warm water in our bathrooms. That is still the most effective way. It's amazing that my mother was right years ago. Wash your hands with soap and water, and do the 20 seconds, sing happy birthday, say your ABCs. That is the most effective way to rid of any virus.
Mrs. Sutton, if say Greg is a student at XYZ Middle School, and his sister who lives at home with them has contracted COVID-19. Well, if I'm in Greg's class with him, will me or my parents know that Greg's sister who lives with him has COVID?
In working with a pandemic situation, you are either a case, which means you have tested positive, or you are a contact. In this situation, you're sharing that the student named Greg, he was a contact of a case over here at his home. That might make him a contact, but it does not make anyone that he has been around. Okay? Right. So you're either a positive case or you're a contact. If you've just been in contact with with someone who is a contact, that does not make you. They actually use the verbiage of a contact, and there's no type of quarantine or isolation that is in place for that. But once again, that is Lincoln Trail District Health Department direction. That's not something Hardin County Schools has come up with. That's our Department of Public Health that has shared that information with us.
Okay. We still have fall break, right, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, we are still going to have fall break. That'll be a great time for everybody to relax a little bit. However, not relax your safety precautions. We still ask that you do not travel to areas that are experiencing a high rate of positivity. We know there are states that have extremely high rates. I would not recommend cruise ships during this time of any nature, but yes, we will have the October break.
Let's say, for example, and it's coming up soon, Labor Day is on a Monday, and if I'm in the Monday-Thursday group, I don't have to go to school on Tuesday to make up for that? It's, I guess, congratulations, you got a day.
Well, that is correct, but you will see further down the line there will be a Friday that students are off, and so we will...
Kind of balances itself out.
It does balance itself,
right.
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
John, I'm not sure, do you have, I know this was the question I received over the weekend, was about band. and choir.
Yes, ma'am. I don't have that, but please feel free.
I know there were some parents who were inquiring about what is band going to look like, because that is an area of concern. And so if and when students do band, they will have to have the 10-foot distancing. And we look for a lot of band practices to be out in open fields or outside in our open areas so that they can allow for that distancing. The same thing with choir. So our band teachers, our KMEA guidelines have come out to those people, and so they know what that needs to look like. So please don't think we're going to have 150 kids playing instruments in one little classroom. That is not going to be the case this year.
EC3 students following the AB schedule as well. They will if you're in a regular pathway, but talk about the differences with, when I say regular pathway, I mean welding or automotive or things like that. They will be on the AB schedule as well, but talk about the early college academy or the early college pathway or our partnership with ECTC there.
Well, I'm assuming that the early college students are the academy students that are getting their, working on their associate's degree.
Yes.
They'll be following the ECTC schedule.
Right. And they start class today.
They start class today.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Right. But the other students in the other pathways going to EC3, they will be following the AB schedule as well.
Right.
Okay.
And it's important to note that the bus drivers of the EC3 will also have a sheet that says this is where that student was sitting, and they will also follow the same guidelines when they get to EC3. Their temperatures will be
Yes.
taken as well. But again, they will keep their same daily schedule. And parents, it's important for you to know you can go on to your child's, to the parent portal to be pulling up your child's schedule of what it's going to look like.
A new kindergarten parent has asked, since the numbers will be cut down to half, would it be possible for me to walk my kindergarten student into school the first day?
No, we're sorry. That is a safety procedure that we're going through. We hope that you have been able to take your child in for that open house that our kindergarten classes had. And again, I know parents worry about it, but I promise you, after 32 years in this profession, after you're gone, after about 30 seconds, they're great. They're excited to be in that classroom. And sometimes parents, I know you need them to cry a little bit longer to make sure they love you, but they will be in great hands. But we are limiting the visitors to our schools, and that includes the parents. But I assure you, when they come through those doors, they are in great hands. But
Absolutely.
we are going to ask you to release and walk them in, not walk them in, and that way we are just keeping all of the students in our schools safer.
Well, by my count, I've gone through about 45 questions, and I'm sure we had more than that. We did have a lot more, but I went through this morning and took out some repetitive questions. But anything from our panel that I didn't ask, or some information that you want to share that we maybe didn't get to?
Okay. I think the main thing, John, is our parents need to know this AB schedule. Our goal was to offer 5 days a week in-person instruction. However, we were not able to reduce the numbers enough, but we know how valuable that in-person instruction is. So while this is not perfect, it is a great solution to this very difficult situation. So I cannot imagine how excited the kids are going to be to come in, have some normalcy about their day. The emotional well-being, I want parents to know we will be hiring a counselor who will be working after school hours. We realize that some of our students have some anxiety, have some questions, so we will be trying to fill that need as well to get that extra counseling. And also the counselors at the school will be available for our families. So again, the AB schedule is the slow start or the jump start that we need to get us to that 5 day a week in person.
And Mrs. Morgan, we're not the only district that's doing this. We know some other districts that are doing this as well. Some of maybe even our size or maybe even bigger.
Yes, I believe Greene County is either starting today or tomorrow. Warren County will be starting, I believe, either the 24th or the 25th. So there are multiple school districts. I believe, Mr. Stith, you shared that Barron County will be starting, and they are not doing the AB schedule. They are a much smaller district, and so they are going 5 days a week. So there are multiple school districts who are approaching this in-person instruction.
Okay. Is there something you would
Well,
want
just
to-
the fact that one of the questions we get is, I'm starting out in the online academy, when can I transfer back into in-person instruction once things kind of slow down here a little bit? And the answer is at the end of the 9 weeks or the end of the trimester, we'll allow you to transition back into in-person instruction, or unless things just get better faster than we anticipate.
Right, okay,
Or
good
that we
deal.
hope.
Anything else for the good of all before we
I would just
wrap it up?
encourage parents, as I did in an earlier segment, you see each of us wearing our masks because we're not able to be 6 foot on the size of this stage. If you would have asked any of us to do this 6 weeks ago, it would have been extremely difficult because we weren't used to wearing masks. And so, as I shared in my earlier segment, parents, if you'll have kids, practice wearing those masks around the house throughout the day and so forth. It will be an even better experience. We thank you for allowing your kiddos to come back. We thank our teachers and so forth, and we're super looking forward to having your kiddos and our families so close back to us again.
You know, you've seen me on Facebook Live videos talking about patience, and we're going to need more of that. I know we've asked for that since March, but we're going to continue to need your patience as we trudge ahead into the foreseeable future. This is brand new for everybody, and I just like to commend not only the folks on this set, but our custodians, our instructional assistants, our child nutrition workers, our bus drivers, our monitors, our administrators, our teachers. Everybody who is in the HCS family has worked incredibly hard to get ready for this school year, and there are lots of unknowns out there that we have. But we're doing our best, and we're doing our best for our children of Hardin County, and they're our highest priority, always have been, always will be. So,
Right. John, and I just want to echo that. As a matter of fact, you took my closing statement.
oh, sorry.
Parents, I just want you to realize how hard our principals, administrators, teachers have prepared for this. We have spent endless hours throughout the summer. As we said, we have been preparing for reopening since about March 16th. It just kept getting delayed. So please, when you see an educator, when you see that principal, administrator, child nutrition worker, custodian, please take the opportunity to tell them thank you. We have spent endless hours, especially at all of those different sites, preparing for this. We want you to know your children are in great hands because of that hard work and dedication of all of the Hardin County Schools family.
All right. And if you're watching this live, again, this link will remain up, so you can watch it at any time, and please share it with those who may not have been able to see it as well. So again, thank you for your time. We appreciate our parents, we appreciate our community, and we look forward to seeing you soon.